Of course.
Okay, you guys, let's go over this. Number one. Okay, the person has a backpack that is 4/5 full. Layla, right? Ryan has a backpack that is 2/3 as full as Layla's. How full is Ryan's backpack? When you're comparing two things, you're multiplying them, okay? So we're comparing Layla's backpack, which is 4/5, and Ryan's backpack, which is 2/3. Sit down and be quiet, please. So you multiply. 4 times 2 is 8. 5 times 3 is 15. 8 over 3 is your 8. Sorry, 8 over 15 is your final answer. All right. Shh. Number 2. Amy has $15 in her room. Her sister Tammy has 3/8 of Amy's dolls. You're comparing the amount of dolls to the other. You're multiplying, okay? So with this whole number, you put a 1 underneath it.
Yes, I did that.
15 times 3 is 45. 8 times 1 is 8. You can keep it at 45 over 8.
Yay.
Or you could have done 5 and 5/8. So either one I'll accept, okay? Number 3. This is not multiple choice, you guys. So I'm sorry for the confusion. This is just a list of things, okay? So you have, what I put for the name? Leah. She's painted her kitchen and bathroom. She uses 5 gallons of paint. And then she uses 2/3 of that amount. You're multiplying. Because she's using a part of a part, okay? So you're multiplying. So this is 5 over 1 times 2 over 3. 5 times 2 is 10. 1 times 3 is 3. 10 over 3, or you can have it 3 and 1/3. Any questions on 1, 2, or 3?
Nope.
Okay, the reason you're multiplying is you're comparing for this one, and then this one. You're taking a part out of a whole, so you're multiplying, okay? Taking a fraction out of how many? Multiply. Okay, number 4. What's the name I put? Oliver? Oliver. Just look. Oliver's painting his bedroom bathroom uses 4 gallons of paint, and then uses 2/3 of that amount. You're taking a part of a whole, so you're multiplying, okay? Nothing's being split evenly here. Nothing's being divided, okay? So that 4 over 1, you multiply. 4 times 2 is 8. 1 times 3 is 3. 8 over 3. You could have also had it 2 and 2/3. Okay? Any questions? Number 5 was the most difficult one. Because you have this mixed number here, 7.5. Okay, and you're comparing, so it's multiplication. Josiah buys 7.5. Martin does 2/3 of that 7.5. The first thing you got to do is you have to convert this to an improper fraction. I call it the roller coaster method. You multiply denominator times the whole number, and you add the numerator. Okay? 7 times 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. Now here's the thing a lot of you messed up on. This denominator stays the same. To make it improper, it stays the same. Okay? So it stays at 2. You can think of it this way too, you guys. You got 7 that are 2 over 2, right? So you can do 2 over 2, 2 over 2, 2 over 2. Do 7 of those, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you have 1/2, right? So you have 7 2s over 2, and you have 1 1/2. Well, when you add those all together, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, you get 15, and that denominator stays the same. So that's the other way you could do it. I just like saying, you know what, I know how to add all these, right? This takes look how much space this takes, so much space. And I know how to do that. Why don't I just multiply this times this, and then add the remainder, okay? It's so much easier for me, simpler for me at least, less space, 15 over 2, okay? Now we multiply. 15 times 2 is 30, 2 times 3 is 6. You have 30 over 6. Now, if you wrote 30 over 6, you still get it right. But I know that I could divide. 30 divided by 6 is 5. So 5 is my answer. But if you got 30 over 6, I'll still count it. All right, are they getting this? Can they see it okay? Okay. Number 6. Mr. Ross has 1/4 a book of stickers, and he wants to divide it among 12 of his students. What am I doing here? Dividing. Okay? So 12 over 1. Now I have to sort. Same, opposite, reciprocal. Please be quiet. Louise, please. 1/4 stays the same. Opposite division is multiplication. The reciprocal goes from 12 over 1 to 1 over 12. Okay? 1 times 1 is 1. 12 times 4 is 48. 1 over 48 is your final answer. Any questions on that? Any questions on number 6? Any questions about life? All right, great. Number 7. Well, I'm not answering those right now. Number 7. Danielle has 2 hours to bake as many batches of cookies as she can. If each batch of cookies takes 1/4 of an hour, how many batches will Danielle be able to bake? Now, there's no split evenly, dividing evenly, equal amounts. But if you look at this problem, you know that she is dividing. She's dividing her time into how many cookies she can make, right? How many batches. She has 2 hours, and she's gonna divide the batches of cookies. So you need to find out how many batches by dividing, well, how long does it take her to make a batch of cookies? 1/4 of an hour, right? Okay? So 2 divided by 1 over 4. Same, opposite, reciprocal. 2 stays the same. Opposite division is multiplication. Reciprocal is 4 over 1 or 4. She's going to make 8 batches. You could also think of this problem logically, using the logical part of your mind. Say, okay, it takes her 1/4 of an hour to bake 1 batch of cookies. Okay, what's 1/4 of an hour? 15 minutes. 15 minutes, right? So that means every half hour she's making 2 batches of cookies. Well, there's 4 half hours in 2 hours, right? 2 times 4 is 8, right? Or you could say, okay, I know, 15 minutes, that's 1/4 of an hour. That means she's making 4 batches every hour, right? Well, she has 2 hours, 4 times 2 is 8. So you could think of it that way, okay? Or do it this way. Either way, it doesn't matter, as long as you get the right answer. Okay, any questions on that? Number 8, Julie has 1/4 of a pizza left over. She wants to take an equal amount of pizza at lunch for the next 3 days. So you're dividing, and she's dividing the 1/4 pizza to the next 3 days. That's why that goes first. So you sort. 1/4 stays the same, opposite is multiplication, and 3 goes to 1 over 3, because that has that imaginary 1 underneath it, right? Any questions on that so far? Okay, stop yawning so loudly. Cover your mouth, okay, because it's getting in my audio, and people are like, wow, really? 1 times 1 is 1, 4 times 3 is 12, 1 over 12 is your final answer. Guys, any questions on this? This is the time to ask. Okay. I think the biggest problem we had is we didn't know if we were dividing or multiplying. And then a lot of us struggled with that. So you got to really look at it carefully. Okay? Number 9. Rochelle has a 1/2 pound of chocolate. And she wants to divide it into 5 equal portions. So what are we dividing? The 1/2 pound of chocolate. Yeah. So you divide. Same, opposite, reciprocal. 1/2 stays the same. Opposite is multiplication. The reciprocal of 5, which is like 5 over 1, right, is 1 over 5. So she's going to give each person 1/10 of a portion. Any questions on 9?
No.
Okay, number 10. How much cheese will each person get if 5 people shared 1/3 of a pound of cheese equally? Are we dividing the 5 people or the 1/3 pound of cheese? The 1/3 pound of cheese, yes. 1/3 divided by 5. Same, opposite, reciprocal. 1/3 stays the same. Opposite division is multiplication. 5, which is 5 over 1, changes to 1 over 5. Then you multiply. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 5 is 15. 1 over 15 is your final answer. Any questions, Luis?
I got 9 out of 10.
Good job. Any questions? Anything that looks confusing or that you need more clarification on? Now's the time to ask. What?
5.
Number 5? Okay. So you have the 7.5, right? That needs to be made into an improper so you can multiply these, right? And like I showed you earlier, 7.5 is like 7 2 over 2s, right? So instead of adding them all, I just say, okay, I know that there's 7 2 over 2s. Well, 2 times 7 is 14, right? Because my denominator is going to stay the same regardless.
So 2 times 7 is
14, and then I had 1 left over. 14 plus 1 is 15. And that denominator stays the same, okay? Because you know when you add and subtract, fractions and numbers to the same. So then you got 15 over 2 times 2 over 3. You just multiply. Okay? Yeah. So I just showed you right now how to make it improper. You take your denominator and you multiply. This frog is killing me. You multiply it times the whole number because you're basically saying that this 7, which is a whole number, is 7 2 over 2s. Right? So, okay, take this and multiply it times 7. Or you can add